I'm going to show you how to do a Brummel locked eye splice on a piece of Dyneema when one end of the rope is either captive, like up on our davit here, or it's just really, really long. To get started with my eye splice, I need my rope, an appropriate size fid, tape measure, marker. I'll need something later to cut the rope, and then depending on how frayed your edges are, you might want some electrical tape as well. The first step to my eye splice is figuring out how long the tail has to be. Now, when you're doing a Dyneema eye splice, best practice for the tail is that the length of the tail that you bury should be 72 times the diameter of the rope. In this case, the line is 5 millimeters, and I'm going to multiply that by 72. So that is the length of my tail, which is equivalent 36 centimeters. Now, if you're working in inches, you can just convert that number. So to make my life easier, I'm going to mark that out. If one end of your rope is really long or captive, this is how you can still do a Brummel lock using just this end. So mark out where you want your eye to be. Go to the one at the captive or long end, and we're going to feed this through. Now go to the other one and same thing. We're going to feed this through, but what we're going to do this time is actually pull this all the way through so that we're putting a twist in it. I now need to make this twist as big as possible because I'm going to try and feed this whole loop through there. Now you can use the fid that you're using or use a bigger one if you want. Now I need to get this and go through here and just pull it through. You can see the twist has come out of this one, and I now have that Brummel shape. Pull that through, feed it through, and you have a Brummel lock done using just one free end. Now that that's done, I can get on with burying the tail. So to bury the tail, again, I need to split the rope and using my fid, feed it in through the center. Now this fid's not very long, so I'm probably going to have to do this twice. So you can see I'm feeding it on, splitting it and feeding it on. I'm going to put this end into here so then I can feed it onto the rope. Come out because I've run out of room. You can see I've got that. So I'm just going to pull this through. Now, as you can see, I haven't got all of my tail buried. So where I came out, I'm going to go back in, feed it through. So if I was to pull this all the way through, I would lose the end of that tail and it would be buried. The only thing is it would go from skinny to quite fat here, and that's not best practice if you want maximum strength. What you need to do is give this a nice taper. Now the precision of your taper, if you're doing something that's critical like rigging, it does need to be more precise. When you're doing your taper, what you're going to be doing is cutting off strands at intervals so that at the top you have the full piece of rope and by the bottom you've tapered down to just a single thread. To calculate the intervals, which is quite important if you are going to be putting high stress, high loads on these ropes, is to count the number of strands in a row and then divide that by the number of strands in the actual rope. So in this instance for mine, there are 33 of these strands in one row, and I have 12 strands in the rope. So I'm looking at cutting one off every 3. Okay, so now that I have an even taper all the way around, I can pull this over. And that is my completed eye splice.